Hey guys, welcome to today's reading. This is your 2024 forecast for the rest of the year. So we're going to see everything you have to expect for the rest of 2024, all the ups and downs, all the good and bad, and any messages or guidance we can give you as you go into the latter half of this year. So today we have a selection of different paintings for you to choose from. If you're new to this channel, welcome. And basically you're going to see which of these paintings is sticking out to you, calling your name, drawing your attention in towards it, and then as soon as you make up your mind, just scroll down to the timestamps in the comments and the description and jump right into your pile. By the way, I always recommend you make your decision based on the painting that is just calling you, drawing you in, calling your name, not necessarily the painting you find the prettiest or the one you would stare at a gallery, but the same way you would make your mind up for any other pick a card reading based on the energy. By the way, if you like how I read tarot and you want to see more of it, then be sure to check out my Patreon. There are over 90 exclusive readings you'll only get access to when you sign up for Patreon. You also get early and ad-free access to all my YouTube videos. I just posted a reading all about what people have realized about you, as well as about your person and any karmic soul connections you have. Do you know them from a past lifetime? We get into that. There's also a reading all about your special person, your soulmate, when they're coming in for you. So there's a lot of great recent readings, but like I said, over 90 exclusive readings over there. Also early access to all my YouTube videos. If that sounds good to you, head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description and go to my Patreon. Also, if you're interested in booking a private session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. You can sign up for a tarot reading, an astrology reading, a channeling session, a combination of all three. You can have it pre-recorded or live. You get to really customize your reading, so it's perfect for you. If that sounds good to you, go to my website, briarrosetarot.com. Link for that is in my description. So thanks for watching, guys. If you need more time to decide, you can totally feel free to rewind, pause, and take as much time as you need, but we're going to go ahead and jump into pile one. Hey pile three, welcome to your reading. Let's get into your cards and see what you can expect for the rest of 2024. So we have the 10 of Cups, 2 of Wands, 7 of Pentacles, 7 of Cups, 3 of Pentacles, King of Wands, 2 of Swords, and the 9 of Swords. So what a juicy year we have for you guys. Rest of the year we have, first of all, the 10 of Cups. That's a really exciting card. For some of you guys, that could indicate finding your long-term partner, or if you're already in a relationship, settling down with that person, maybe even starting a family, because it does show a family on it. So if that's something you wanted, that could be indicated. It also is a card of really being settled in your home. So some of you guys might be redoing your home or finding a new living situation that you really, really love, like moving into your dream apartment or redecorating your place so it just feels super homey and comfortable. The 10 of Cups is a card of real satisfaction, completion, and just feeling super content with where you live, your life situation, and really reaching that level of fulfillment. It could also connect with like a dream coming true. So for some of you guys, this could be accomplishing something. I almost feel like there's a professional accomplishment that may allow you to focus more on your personal life. I feel like that is a major focus for you guys. It could be a pregnancy energy as well. So, you know, if that's something you want, that could be a good thing. If that's something you don't want, maybe be careful. But it feels like you're really settling in. And I feel like whatever this is, it brings you so much contentment. Like if you do have kids, maybe you'll like love, you know, like some people hate, you know, when they give birth and the baby's crying all the time. And some people really enjoy that period and they look back like that time with my newborn was so nice. Or if you're not trying to have a baby and that's not what you want, it could be a time when you just feel really in love with your apartment, really in love with your place. Maybe you're cooking more, maybe you're spending more time at home. Maybe you like set up a part of your apartment, a corner of your apartment, so you can like do workouts there. So you're no longer having to go to the gym and you're watching like the sunrise from that part of your apartment and you just love it. But it really is that place of contentment, and often where we find contentment at our living situation, at our place of home. We also have the King of Wands. So this could be a guy or a relationship coming in, a partner that is super, super into you. This could also be your energy where you feel very energetic and very alive and very like ready to explore, ready to do things. You have a lot of enthusiasm. But for some of you guys, especially if you're a woman who dates men, it could be, you know, a male partner that is just very into you and really excited to be with you. And sometimes the King of Wands can be a little bit of a player, although usually the king is more settled than, say, the knight or the page. But it can be a character that's a little bit of a player or is primarily focused on like physical connections. But this could be a partner that's just like so into you and wants to be around you all the time, wants to touch you all the time. Maybe physical affection is their love language and they just want to like connect with you that way. So, like I said, if you already have a partner, they could just be much more physically affectionate with you at this time. Or if you're single, this could be meeting someone and they are just like so into you. Like your body, your looks, your figure, your face is just doing it for them. And they just want to be, you know, on you all the time, basically. Yeah, so it could be a very fun time in your relationship when you're much more focused, tuned in with this person. And it could also show that just you're looking really good, you're feeling confident. You could be changing things with your physical appearance and just attracting more partners as well. I feel like a lot of you guys are also having to make a lot of plans. We got the Two of Swords and the Two of Wands, both of which involve making decisions, kind of planning. So I feel like for you, there's like a big decision you might have to contend with, and it may have to do with like where you live, your living situation. It may have to do with like wanting a change in your life, like if you want to change jobs or relocate, having to figure out what you'll do, having to figure out where that is. And I feel like you guys are also continuing to put in work, maybe even going back to get some kind of a schooling or certification or degree. With the Three of Pentacles, that can be furthering your education in some way, learning more. And I also see some of you guys with that Seven of Cups maybe reminiscing about a past relationship. I almost feel like there's Spirit is saying that you've learned some hard lessons from something, or that you really had to, almost like they're saying, learn the hard way. And I feel like it's almost like you've taken that knowledge and really refined it and really come into your own. And so if there was ever kind of any loss or difficulty you've been through recently, Spirit wants you to know that it wasn't actually a loss and that you're going to come out so much stronger and so much more confident. I feel like you're also going to learn to trust yourself. And this is a theme for you for the rest of 2023, is kind of like believing your intuition, believing yourself, and listening the first time. I love that quote by Maya Angelou, which is like, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And I feel like for you guys, this is about really like trusting yourself and trusting your path, and also trusting the endless abundance of the universe. I always find that when I'm like too hung up on an old situation, be it a person, be it a job, be it a old part of my life, whatever the case may be, that what I'm doing is I'm not trusting the endless abundance of the universe. And the universe, of course, has unlimited abundance. So if something leaves our life, trust and believe something new is going to come in. I always think of how Buddhist monks will do this art where they make art in sand, and they'll make these sand creations, and it takes them about a week, and it's super intricate. They use all different kinds of colored sand and make them into these incredible spiritual designs that have a lot of meaning, and they're really gorgeous to look at. And then after working at it for a week, completing it, making it perfect, they'll just take something and just ruin it, and just like run their hand through it and like ruin all the sand so it bleeds together, and take that piece of artwork that was so beautiful and perfect and destroy it. And so why do the monks spend time doing this? What a waste of time, right? But it's to remind us that nothing is permanent. And for me, I love that lesson, because I think so much of the time we hold on to like, oh, I put time into this, or I put energy into this, or how am I ever going to find something new? But really, Spirit often wants us to practice non-attachment and not to get too attached to like, oh, it has to look this way or it has to be that way. Sometimes the plan Spirit has is so much better than the plan we have in our mind. Sometimes something that we thought would be in our life forever isn't meant to be permanent, and there's a beautiful lesson within that. I'm not saying things can't be permanent, but I feel like some of you guys need to hear that message as we head into the rest of 2024, that like, if something left your life, if something wasn't meant to be, then trust and believe it was for a reason. Let's get into some more tarot for you. Pile number 1. So we want to know what pile 1 can expect for the rest of 2024. So we got the 5 of Pentacles, and that's reversed. Okay. So maybe with the 5 of Pentacles, sometimes that can indicate that money is a little tight for you guys for the rest of 2024. And that can just be something to be aware of. Is like, okay, let me be careful not to spend on something frivolous. You know, sometimes you are like, oh, I just need a shopping spree. And we go out and we, drop money. And then like the next week there's a big charge or there's a big expenditure. And you're like, oh, I kind of wish I hadn't bought that stuff. Or, I could have used that money, And so it can just be that lesson that maybe it's not going to be super bad, but be careful and be aware of that. And don't just like be frivolous and just go out and drop all your money on whatever you want and just think that it'll be fine. I mean, it will be fine. Everything is working out for our greatest and highest good, but it's an energy that when it comes up, it's like, okay, let me just be a little more careful, or let me not be reckless, I guess. And the 5 of Pentacles can also talk about stepping outside of like a paradigm or an expectation, or sometimes a limiting belief system, or some kind of like group that we belong to. I mean, it shows someone kind of exiled outside a church. So sometimes it can show when we remove ourselves from like a system of power or a group, or some kind of like organization that has expectations of us, and maybe where they think we have to behave a certain way, and kind of taking our power back and setting out as more of an individual on that. So that might be something that happens to you in 2024 as well. As you might find yourself, I almost feel like this could also be a message about really finding your individual style, or doing something outside the norm, or not caring as much what people think of you, and really having that faith in yourself as like this independent person and this independent energy. So if you've spent time in the past worrying about like, oh, should I post this on my Instagram? What are people going to think? Whatever. You might get into that energy where you're just like, I'm going to post it. I like this picture of me. I'm posting it. I don't care. I don't care how many likes it gets. I don't care how people receive it. This is me. I look good. I'm posting it. Done. Moving on. Or you're like, yeah, I've had a lot of security in my job, but I'm ready to move on into something more independent. But definitely the 5 of Pentacles can show that energy where we're ready to move away from that kind of system of comfort or security that we used to have in the past. Let's get some more cards. We also got the Death card, and we also got the 2 of Wands, Strength, the Queen of Pentacles, 6 of Pentacles, love that, and the 9 of Swords coming out again. So we got 2 double cards, the 2 of Wands and the 9 of Swords. So with the 2 of Wands coming out twice again, that can show planning. And for me, I often indicate or receive the 2 of Wands as a card sometimes where someone might be thinking of moving, or they're having to really plan out something. The Wands cards is often action we want to take. It's like something that may be a dream or a goal or an ambition. And with the 2 of Wands, it can be that energy of having to really sit down and hatch a plan and really think of how we're going to go about it. Not just leaping into the action and blindly going in, but really thinking it through and kind of like organizing every stage. I feel like there's a lot of planning that you guys have to do. There's a lot of thinking. There's a lot of thought processes that have to happen. You guys might also be getting financial help or just a generous gift from someone. The 6 of Pentacles can show someone that really wants to help us or assist us. So if it does reach a point in the 5 of Pentacles where you don't have that much money, or you're kind of like not in a great financial situation, the 6 of Pentacles could show someone coming in to rescue that, or to fix that, or to help with that. And it is that message of not being afraid to ask for help and not being afraid to kind of like state your needs. I also feel like though with the Queen of Pentacles coming out towards the end, that's a really positive message about your finances. So there may be a rough start to the rest of the year, or there may be a need to be kind of frugal at first, but then it's like you figure it out and you come into your power. I also feel like the Queen of Pentacles really knows her worth and her value, and she's not going to accept less than that. There's a very empowered energy throughout this reading. We also got the Strength card. I feel like there may be something that for you guys is very painful to leave behind, with the 9 of Swords coming out twice. And it's so cool how these came out on top of each other, right? The 2 of Wands on top of the 2 of Wands, 9 of Swords on top of the 9 of Swords. I just love when Spirit does that. But yeah, there may be an energy that's painful for you to leave behind or unpleasant for you to kind of like leave in the past, and it may be something that you're very tempted to just continue on with. But I feel like you guys are going to ultimately find your power and kind of realize your own worth. Like I'm hearing that song by Ariana Grande, No Tears Left to Cry, and I feel like a lot of you guys have kind of tolerated things and allowed yourselves to be stressed out by certain things. And now it's almost like, how do I move forward and past that? How do I move away from that? How do I stop allowing myself to tolerate anything less than second best, or than the absolute best? Not second best. We're not tolerating second best anymore. I feel like you're starting to kind of realize your own worth and your own power with that strength card coming out. And that person that you were at the beginning that may have been a little needy or felt a little sad or felt a little scared and alone, that's also like the journey with the Five of Pentacles. It's kind of right when the Pentacles energy starts to turn around, because it gets better as you go on. And the 5 is definitely the low point, and then we head into the 6 of Pentacles, and then the 7 and the 8, and then we're at 9 and 10, which are just really positive cards. So the 5 is kind of that part of the journey where we figured things out, but maybe sometimes it's like it's darkest before dawn, or almost like it's easier when you don't know what's going on or before you leave a situation. And sometimes your rock bottom is actually exactly the turning point that you needed. Sometimes it's like we can pretend that some situation is fine, like the 2, the 3, the 4 of Pentacles. They're not as negative as the 5, but it's also definitely not as empowered as we see for the rest of the deck. And I feel like it's kind of more of a hesitant energy. So the 5 is sometimes when we like walk away from something, but it's a pivotal part of that journey, and then it leads to the positive cards. And I feel like for you, you're kind of ready to leave something in the past, or you're ready to change how you're treated and ready to really stand up for yourself as we come into 2024, and to really no longer like make yourself uncomfortable so that someone else can be comfortable. And I feel like that energy really allows you to find your power, and the person that you are by the end of that is so much more strong and so much more better off, to be honest, than the person that you are at the very beginning. So let's clear these and get into some more cards for you. Pile number 1. So what is happening for pile 1 for the rest of 2024? Okay, we got forgiveness, happiness, family. That is a huge focus for you, just like the 10 of Cups. Clarity. Okay, so let's get one more card. Oh, we got 2. Okay. Dreams and strength. Okay. So yeah, strength is a major focus for you guys. You might even be trying to increase your physical strength, changing your workout routine or something like that. But I feel like it's also that inner strength, that inner power, and kind of like being able to bet on yourself. Like, I think sometimes when you repeatedly make it a habit of standing up for yourself or looking out for your own best interests, one great thing that happens is you get this like inner confidence and this peace with yourself. It's almost like when you know you can't trust yourself, it gives you anxiety. Like that time that you keep getting back together with that guy that's a situationship and treats you badly, that's going to affect your self-esteem as well. You know, like if you know that all he has to do is pick up the phone and call you and you're going to be rushing over, it's going to affect how you view yourself. And that can be one of the most damaging things about it, you know? Or if you have a friend that just repeatedly is like mean to you and kind of like talks ish about you and kind of like makes passive aggressive digs at you in front of your friend group, and you keep hanging out with that friend, it's going to affect your confidence and your trust in yourself, because you know you can't trust yourself. You know when that friend calls you and invites you to go to the party that you're so lonely and desperate, you're going to say yes, and that's going to make you feel bad about yourself. So if you can make it into the habit of like, I'm not tolerating this behavior from you. No, I refuse. You're going to be able to like relax with yourself. You're not going to have that anxiety that like, I know as soon as I get that call, I'm going to be rushing over and I'm going to put myself in a dangerous, or not even dangerous, but bad situation. But honestly, having disloyal friends can be super dangerous. You hear news stories all the time about like girls going out to bars and their friends leave them behind, and then they get in like some horrible violent crime, or someone, they get too drunk and some guy takes them from the bar and something awful happens. And people will always ask, well, where were the friends? But when you have disloyal friends that low-key don't like you and have bad intentions for you, that can be one of the worst things that happens for you. It can be so dangerous. So that's why you might have anxiety, even though you might say, well, it's just a friend and whatever, like who cares? I'm just going out to drink with them. It's like, yeah, but your body can know I'm in danger with these people. Your body can feel I can't trust them. These are like ops, these are enemies, and you're not going to feel that sense of peace, that sense of calm. And when you're around them, it's going to give you anxiety. So that's why it's so important to listen the first time when they start acting shady, when they start acting weird to you, that you're not just blinding yourself or telling yourself, no, it's fine, whatever, they do like me, but you're really paying attention to your intuition. So yeah, I feel like you guys are kind of finding your backbone a lot here. We have a huge emphasis on family. We also have the forgiveness card. So this could indicate that maybe there are situations that you're not fully walking away from, but I feel like whatever it is, you're learning to like lay the law down, set your boundaries. You're learning to say no or to stand up for yourself. And if in the past you kind of were willing to just overlook things and pretend like it was fine to keep the status quo and to keep the peace, it feels like you are not doing that anymore. It feels like a lot of you guys are going to really prioritize yourself. And it's like if someone can't fit into that or they don't see the value in that, you're over it, and you're moving on. I do see a lot of happiness for you, especially towards the end of 2024, like especially starting in like November, December, fall, heading into winter. I feel like that's a really happy time for you. And I'm hearing nesting. So again, maybe just spending a lot of time at home, maybe redoing your place so that it's just a place you feel super cozy and homey. And maybe it's like staying in on a Friday night and baking cookies instead of going out and being wild. You might turn into a bit of a homebody. And some of you guys, if you are single, you might get into a really beautiful committed relationship that just makes you want to stay at home, where you're like, I don't want to be out. I don't want to be, doing anything wild. I don't want to be at the bar. Like I found my person. I'm happy to just be at home with them, feel settled. I feel like this is a really beautiful time in your life and you're really, really enjoying it and savoring every moment of it. I feel like as well, your intuition is really, really, really getting stronger and stronger. We got this dreams card and it came out next to the clarity card. So I feel like there's a vibe of like I said, listening to yourself and no longer telling yourself any lies or allowing someone else to tell you lies. Sometimes I think, we want those comforting lies from someone. We want to hear from that friend we think is shady that, no, I actually do like you, or from that guy that is a situationship and is really dishonest with us. We want to hear him say, no, I do like you, but then he's going to be back to the same BS. And that's why it's so important to be willing to face those hard truths, have those hard conversations. And then once you do that, it's like you can really listen to yourself and to your intuition. Once you're willing to face it head on, once you're willing to take a genuine look at things and not gaslight yourself or not try to tell yourself whatever you want to hear, but you're really, really, really going to dig deep and lean into the truth, that's when you can really trust yourself and trust your guidance. So I feel like you guys may have very prophetic dreams and you might just really figure out these situations early. Like, I feel like, again, you're listening to yourself. You guys are, moving away from any comforting lies or old situations that used to make you happy or old situations that you used to tolerate, and you are really moving into that empowered energy of asking for what you know you deserve. Let me get into this deck for you. Pile number 1. We want to know what's happening for pile 1 for the next rest of the year, rest of 2024. Woman holding a heart. Goddess of the moon, yes, so intuitive. Strategy, broken heart, and that's definitely echoes that 9 of Swords we got twice for you guys. 4th chakra, Archangel Raphael. and healer of the ages. Fourth chakra, Archangel Raphael, also rules over the heart chakra and also is the healing angel. So he is the one to call upon if you need any kind of healing, any kind of physical healing, emotional healing, any kind of healing at all. That's where Archangel Raphael will come in. And he also helps when you're traveling. So if you ever are traveling, like you're in a car and you're nervous, like me, I'm a nervous driver, or you're flying in a plane and you hate it and it's like freaking out about the safety of the plane, call upon Archangel Raphael to watch over you because he does rule traveling. But yeah, I feel like you guys are, for some of you guys, this is a really beautiful relationship that's coming in that really allows you to access different parts of your heart and be more open and be more in the moment and be more vulnerable with yourself. But I also feel like there is that message that I kept getting about being willing to stand up for yourself, being willing to advocate for yourself. I think sometimes we think that if we want a relationship to last, be it a friendship, be it a family member relationship, be it a romantic relationship, that we kind of have to sacrifice ourselves, that we kind of have to like move away from our feelings and just prioritize that other person. We kind of have to lie to ourselves and stamp down on how we feel, and we don't want to look crazy by bringing something up. We want to be cool, we want to be chill. So I'm not going to mention that this bothers me, and I'm going to kind of be relaxed and I'm not going to start a fight. But sometimes you kind of need to initiate conflict or to bring up something that's bothering you and to stand 10 toes down behind that. You need to be willing and able to advocate for yourself and to give your point of view and to know that you also deserve to be listened to. And unless you're crazy, which you're probably not, you have every right to ask for the things you're asking for. You're probably not asking for anything crazy or unreasonable. And I think sometimes we really get pressured that we have to do whatever it takes to make this relationship work. And sometimes it really takes almost being willing to walk away or being willing to stand up and say what we want. If you're single, this could also be being much more communicative and upfront when you're dating. Like maybe you have done that thing when you're single where like you meet someone on a date, they say they're into like horror movies, you hate horror movies, but you're like, oh my God, I love them. Yeah, they're so great. We should go watch one. And then you go see it in the movie theater and the whole time you're like looking away because you can't stand the sight of any violence, but you're afterwards and he's like, how did you like it? You're like, oh, I loved it. I love these scary films. They're so good. And a lot of times people will do that when they're dating, when they try to meet someone or they like someone, they'll kind of sacrifice themselves and they'll present a version of themselves that they think that other person would like. And I think sometimes the best way to date is to just be so honest, so blunt, have that inner confidence, have that radiating energy of like knowing who you are, and that will also attract the right person. Then the right person who likes whatever you like, whether you like comedy movies or romantic dramas, whatever, or maybe they don't even like the same things, but they're not going to at least be that person that's like, you have to watch every horror movie with me. And they'll probably have a lot more respect for you because deep down inside, that person's got an intuition too. And they can probably tell that when you're like, I loved that movie, that you don't really mean it. And when they're like, oh, did you see blah, blah, blah movie? Yeah, it's my favorite. And you're like, yes, I loved that you're faking and that you didn't really actually see it. And they're not going to respect you as much. So when we learn to like be ourselves unapologetically and just kind of ask for what we want and go after it, we tend to attract someone that's so much better and so much more in alignment with us. So I feel like whatever your romantic situation, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're single, the rest of the year could be really good for you. And the key to really accessing that positive energy can be being willing to be your most honest and truthful self and being willing to stand up for yourself and ask for what you want and know you deserve it. No more gaslighting yourself, no more telling yourself you're crazy for asking for this, really knowing what you deserve and standing behind that. And so if you are willing to do that, I feel like the rest of 2024 could be a great time for you to spend with a loved one. If you're single, you might find a very lovely, committed partner that makes you really, really happy. And I feel like this relationship, if you're in one, could get a lot deeper. You could really find a lot more intimacy with this person. You could spend a lot more time with them. You could become much more intertwined with them and linked with them than you were before. And I also feel like again, with this strategy card, there's some planning that needs to go on. Some of you guys are going to be planning something big. I feel like maybe there's a move, maybe there's a change of jobs, but it feels like you want to do something, but it's almost like it requires a lot of paperwork, a lot of planning, a lot of details that have to be kind of put into place. And I feel like that's also going to consume a lot of you for 2024. It's like, how do I arrange this? How can I like make this happen? And all these little bases that I need to cover, all these little details, all these little like, you know, Virgo energy, like I's that need to be dotted, T's that need to be crossed, papers that need to be signed, whatever the case may be, pieces of information that need to be arranged and looked at. And I feel like that's something that also consumes a lot of your intention or a lot of your attention. Yeah, and also I feel like I'm hearing at the latter part of the year, some of you guys are going to need more rest. You might want to sleep more. You might be dreaming a lot more. And again, if you do, you're going to be super intuitive and psychic and having really prophetic dreams. But I feel like towards the end of the year, you're definitely getting that urge to kind of hibernate, nest a little, spend more time at home. So maybe spend the beginning part of the year when you have more energy, really making it the kind of home that you absolutely love and that makes you feel so joyful. So if you're like, I do want to redo my living room, like do it now and get started. Because I feel like by the end of the year, you guys are really going to have an emphasis on wanting to be cozy, wanting to reset your energy a little bit, maybe feeling a little burnt out. But with this healer card, I feel like you're going to be doing things to kind of like chill, rest your nervous system, be calm. And honestly, I feel like you're going to love the rest of 2024. It feels like a really positive time for you guys. So that is what I have for you, pile number 1. I really hope that resonates, guys. If you want to see more of my content, then be sure to check out my Patreon. There are over 90 exclusive readings you'll only get access to when you sign up for Patreon. I just posted a reading all about well, you're a special person, when you're going to meet them, all the details around that. Also, what people have realized about you, as well as one about, oh yeah, you're a person. How do you know them? Are they from a past lifetime? What's the soul connection? All the details with that. So if any of those topics sound interesting for you, or you're interested in any of the other 90 exclusive readings you will find on Patreon, or the early and ad-free access you get to all my YouTube videos, then head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description to join me for Patreon. Also, if you're interested in booking a private session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. You can book a tarot session, a channeling session, an astrology session, a combination. You can do it pre-recorded, you can do it live, you get to really customize it so it's perfect for you. If that sounds good, head to my website, briarrosetarot.com. A link is in my description for that. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will see you again very, very soon in another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey, pile 2, welcome to your reading. Let's get into your cards and see what you can expect for the rest of 2024. So we have the Queen of Pentacles, 7 of Swords, King of Pentacles, 2 of Cups, and the Moon card, King of Swords, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Ace of Wands. So with the Queen and the King of Pentacles coming out right off the top, I feel like this is going to be a very successful year for you guys. Some of you guys may be achieving financial goals. I'm even hearing for some of you guys, you might be opening a business. There's a very entrepreneurial energy around you. I feel like a lot of you guys are almost taking a hard look at your finances and seeing what can be improved, or seeing what you could tweak or do differently, maybe earning more money. There may be a real focus on your financial situation or on your job, and almost like a very empowered energy, like you're ready to ask for more. You're ready to kind of claim what is yours. That I feel like in the past, maybe you wanted those things, but you kind of didn't have the confidence to fully go for it, or you would go back and forth like, oh, I have this idea for a business, but should I open it? And for the rest of 2024, you might have that boldness to really go after what you want. Even if you already have a business, you might be opening a new product line, or changing your strategy in some way, or really also with the King of Swords, taking a hard look at your business and at the facts and the numbers and seeing what you can tweak and change and do differently, I feel like though you're definitely going to be welcoming a higher status with that and success with that. And it's almost like I'm getting a message from spirit that the more energy you put into this, the better off. So don't be afraid to like fully lean in. If you're like, yeah, I'd love to make more money, but I don't know, like I don't want to get burnt out, or I'm kind of like trying to do this business, but I don't want to lean in all the way. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. I feel like you don't need to worry about any of that. Like you are, it's almost like every bit of energy you put in is going to pay back tenfold. So don't be afraid to like give your all. Don't be afraid to like lean in. Don't be afraid even maybe to take some risks with that. I feel like you might be very financially favored for the rest of 2024. And sometimes that could be like a Jupiter transit that's really beneficial, like Jupiter transiting through the 10th house or through the first house, through the second house, any kind of money house, even the 8th house. But there's a lot of different placements that could be happening that really benefit you. And I feel like for you guys, it's almost like luck is on your side, and everything you touch, you have that Midas touch. Also, the Queen and King of Pentacles are great at having boundaries. Like they're definitely good at telling people no, or saying what they want, or advocating for themselves, or saying, you know, I don't think that deal is very fair, or this needs to be done differently. I think that's like an important part of being a CEO or a business owner or running a business, right, is being willing to like sometimes argue with someone or talk about that deal won't work for me, or we need to bring the price down, or whatever the case may be, and being kind of tough. And I feel like that's something that's also changing. I'm also seeing a vibe that some of you guys are going to want to change jobs, or if you've been putting up with something in your current job that has really been bothering you, or you're like, oh, I really want that, you know, that raise, or I really want that my office, it's right in the middle of the aisle or of the floor, and everyone always comes by, and I really want to move into that open office down the hall, but I'm afraid to bring it up. I feel like you're getting to that point where you're going to advocate for yourself, and you're really going to be willing to ask for it. And it's almost like there's something budging or changing that you really wanted it to change for a really long time. I also feel like you're getting to that place where you're kind of like fed up, and I'm hearing from spirit that that's not a bad thing, because it always feels like that major change happens when you're fed up, right? When you're willing to walk away. Energetically, that can be such a magnetic energy to be in, even though it's frustrating to be in that energy, and you might be kind of depressed, like, oh, I've reached this point and I'm just so done, and you know, you might not feel super happy about that, but that energy often allows us to advocate for ourselves the best and to ask for that thing that maybe we wanted for a really long time, but we were afraid of what people would say. We were afraid of hearing that no. And sometimes when we reach the point where we are just completely done, we're fed up, we don't really care even if it is a no, because we are just not going to tolerate this anymore, that's when we're really able to make those changes and ask for what we want, and actually have the people listen to us, because they can tell as well that we mean it. They can tell when we bring it up to them that we're not BSing when we say like, I'm fed up with this. So I also feel like a big part of this is an energetic shift in yourself, and almost being brave enough to bet on yourself, or to listen to yourself, or to realize how valuable you are, how smart you are, how intelligent you are, and maybe even listening to your own intuition with that as well. The King of Swords, that's also, you know, having that faith in our own thought processes. Like the swords is kind of how we think about things, our perception of things. I think one of the worst things we can do is gaslight ourselves and be like, no, you're reading the situation wrong. How many times have we had that happen? Like we have a toxic friend, we have a toxic job, and maybe one day we get fired, or that friend really screws us over, and we always think, oh my God, I knew the whole time this job was toxic, or I knew that friendship was toxic, I knew this person didn't have good intentions, and I just wish I'd listened earlier. But we override our intuition, we override our perception, we tell ourselves we're crazy, or no, it's not really like that. So I feel like a big part of this shift for you energetically that allows you to accomplish a lot of your goals is that you're going to be listening to yourself, and you're really going to be paying attention to what you think. There's also an energy of maybe socializing or finding people who are much more in alignment with you. We got the Two of Cups, and also to me, all these court cards are coming through as maybe people you might meet that might be very influential or very successful in their own right, that might be able to really give you guidance. And I'm hearing a message for some of you guys that it's almost like sometimes you're afraid to ask, or you're afraid to align yourself with certain groups. Maybe you don't feel fully worthy. Maybe there's a party that thinks, oh, they would turn me down, or why would they want to hang out with me, or I don't want to be a mooch, I don't want to ask too much. And I feel like you need to know that like you're definitely not asking for too much, and it's definitely not unreasonable to reach out. And you might be much more energetically aligned with these people than you realize. You know, it's sometimes someone just has an energy of success about them. So maybe even though they haven't reached that position yet, maybe they're not making like $1 million a year yet, or whatever the case, whatever the number is, but someone can tell when they talk to them, like, oh, this person's really smart and they're going to be successful, and I can tell that. So I feel like you should not be afraid to like ask or reach out, and you might be socializing with some very popular, or sure, maybe popular, but very powerful people that I feel like can give you guidance and wisdom. And again, Spirit is saying not to be afraid to ask, not to be afraid to put yourself out there, reach out. You might have a lot of opportunities for socialization. You might get invited to like a really great party with a lot of influential people. And it's so interesting. I was mentioning I could see a Jupiter transit for you, and then we got the Wheel of Fortune, which connects with Sagittarius and Jupiter. So yeah, definitely it seems like the rest of your year is going to be very lucky for you, and you're going to have a lot of positive, abundant energy flowing around you. Sagittarius and Jupiter. Jupiter is a super benefic, it is the great benefic, and it magnifies and expands everything it touches. So it really is that Midas touch that can turn everything to gold and to make everything expand. And so that might be a major focus for you, is like expanding your clients, expanding your career, expanding your influence, getting your name out there more, having people know you. And I feel like you should not be afraid to really embrace that, because you really might have eyes on you at this time. We also got the Ace of Wands, and combined with the Two of Cups, this could be a really fun like love affair, romance. If you're single, it could be a great time to meet people. If you're in a relationship, it could be a time in your relationship when things are just really spicy and your partner's really attracted to you, and you guys are really connecting on a very physical level, and they're just very attracted to you at this time. I'm also hearing a message that for some of you guys, you're going to be changing your like diet and fitness routine, and maybe even changing your appearance in some way. And I feel like that's also going to give you a lot more energy. The Ace of Wands is a super energetic card, so maybe you're doing something a little bit different with what you eat or your exercise regime, but whatever it is allows you to have much more physical energy. Like maybe you decide to give up coffee, and then you find that you don't have a 3 p.m. crash every day, and so you can just work throughout the day, or you decide that you're gonna, eat more protein or something like that. But I feel like whatever you're tweaking and changing, like you really have a lot of energy, and I feel like you have the time, the energy, the wherewithal to go to like these social events, or like to go to happy hour after work and like mingle and mix and talk to people. And I feel like that allows you to really get ahead as well. Let's get into some of these tarot cards for pile number 3. We want to know what they can expect for the rest of 2024. So we got the 5 of Cups. Okay. Let's see what else we're going to get. This one is the Page of Swords. What can pile number 2 expect for the rest of 2024? The Magician. The 6 of Swords. Queen of Wands. 10 of Swords, and let's get one more card for 2024 for pile number 2. This one is the Knight of Cups. So yeah, you guys are definitely going to be very charming. We have 2 very charming energies, the Knight of Cups, the Queen of Wands. I also feel like there's a message really for you guys about getting your confidence up. I feel like sometimes you don't accurately perceive how charming you are and how much people are drawn to you. Pile number 2. I think sometimes you kind of like get down on yourself, or you almost can be your own worst critic. And it's almost like if you could see yourself through other people's eyes, if you could really realize everything you have going on for you, then you would like appreciate yourself more. Like it reminds me of sometimes when I do readings, and I'll just be struck by like, oh my gosh, this girl's so pretty, or like I have a lot of really pretty viewers, by the way. Like I'm always like blown away. Like I don't know what it is, but I don't know, very attractive people are drawn to my channel for some reason, because so much of the time I'll do a reading and just be like, wow, this person is stunning. But yeah, a lot of times if I mention, if I say something like, and you're really pretty, they'll be like, oh no, or oh no, like I have this, and they'll criticize themselves. And I will mention it when I sense that person doesn't have the confidence. And it always strikes me as like, what the heck? Because this person is so cute. But I find so much of the time, someone who's attractive, they might never hear it because people often don't tell them. Like they might be jealous, they might be insecure, they might be envious of that person. So instead of saying like, by the way, you are freaking gorgeous, you should try modeling, they'll say, oh, like you look okay, I don't know, you have a stain on your shirt. And they'll criticize, or your hair looks weird, or did you put on too much makeup, because it's an insecurity thing. And I think we really have to be aware of that, how sometimes when we have a gift or a talent, we actually can attract people who want to like tamp down on that, especially when we're not okay with it. We haven't stepped into an empowered energy. We might attract people who are actually low-key jealous, envious, want to take that away from us. They don't want us to know and fully comprehend our own power. Because like, say you're going out with that girl, she's your good friend, you guys are going to the bars together, and so many guys are going to like her and have a crush on her, and you're a little bit envious because she looks amazing. You might not want her to realize her power, and you might want to say something before you go out like, oh my god, you're really wearing that dress? No, it's just it's really tight on you. I don't know, like you haven't like gained weight lately, have you? Or whatever kind of like passive aggressive comment, so that she's not going to be confident. So that when we go out to the club together, when I'm feeling good and I'm talking to guys, she's going to be like thinking of that comment I said. She's going to feel awkward. She's going to feel self-conscious. And that's going to allow me to get, a better reaction from the situation. And I feel like for you guys, there is a message about like no longer holding yourself back. I'm literally seeing someone throwing off shackles and like ripping apart, like, what is it? Their hands are tied together like with a metal handcuffs or whatever, and they are ripping that open and ripping that off. And I feel like for you, this is about almost like realizing you have to change how you talk to yourself. You have to gas yourself up. You have to give yourself that feedback. And if you're not your own biggest fan, like who else can be? And I feel like as you shift, you're no longer going to tolerate anyone who doesn't see the value in you. You're going to start seeing the value in yourself and realize how freaking amazing you are, pile two. And for the rest of 2024, I feel like your theme is empowerment, and your theme is seeing yourself clearly and no longer making yourself small so others feel comfortable. There's also that message of like stepping into your power financially. I think sometimes a lot of people inherit, traumas from their family. Their family may have said things like money doesn't grow on trees, or maybe low-key they feel bad because like their parents always lived in poverty, and they kind of feel like if they were to suddenly become wealthy, then their parents would feel bad about themselves, and they subconsciously pick up on the sense that their parents are competitive with them and that their parents wouldn't actually like it if they got money, so instead they sabotage themselves. It's really important to be aware of all these subconscious processes and really bring them out into the limelight, and maybe even say things like mantras to move ourselves away from kind of that poverty consciousness. And poverty consciousness can apply to money, but it can also apply to like our looks. Like, are we really embracing our looks fully? It can apply to our job. It can apply to the friends we have. Maybe we don't feel worthy of that really great friend group where everyone's so supportive, so we get those mean, like kind of nasty hater friends because we feel more comfortable with that, because we think we deserve that. It can have to do with relationships. Either way, I feel like the vibe for you is really finding your power and no longer tolerating that. And I think when you do that, you're going to be amazed at how things change for you. Pile number two, you guys are going to be like, oh my God, why did I ever put up with this? We have the Six of Swords. So it feels like there are certain situations you're willing to walk away from and you're not going to waste your energy with. You're not going to hold your light in anymore to make anyone else comfortable. And I feel like once you really work through that trauma, the rest of 2024 has this endless potential that you guys could accomplish anything. You guys could do so much. The sky is the limit because you're no longer allowing these people to hold you back or to put their bad vibes on you. Like, you're done with that. And if someone isn't going to support you, someone isn't going to cheer you on, you're over it. They're cut off. You're really discovering your power. You got the Magician as your center card in this spread. Like, you are really realizing that you have the power to create whatever kind of lifestyle you want and do, whatever you want in this life. You don't have to you don't have to make yourself small so that someone else feels comfortable. And if there's anyone that expects you to make yourself small so they feel good, then that is a huge red flag. And it's something to very much be aware of. It's like, what is this person's expectations of me? Where do they feel comfortable? Are they happy when I spill a drink on myself and I have a stain going down my dress? Are they kind of laughing and they love it? Or are they really rushing over, trying to get some tissues or napkins from the bar, like trying to mop it up, you know what I mean? Or if someone is slightly rude to me, do they think that's great and they think it's hilarious? Or are they like, hey, don't talk to my friend like that? And so I feel like you're really ready to like cut certain things off and really stepping into like this very powerful energy that I think is going to allow you to accomplish so much. There's also an energy of travel for some of you guys. There's an energy of no longer wanting to be in the same place, or maybe being a little bit bored. Like I could see you guys really traveling a lot or moving. And it's almost like you're ready for a new challenge, or maybe you're moving to like a big city or something. But I feel like you're ready for like some excitement, stepping out of your comfort zone. And I feel like this is the year when maybe you do a lot of things that you put off, or things that you were kind of afraid to ask for in the past. You know how sometimes you're like, I really want to move to New York City, or I'd love to go to this kind of nightclub. Like that would be so cool. But then maybe you get really nervous about, what if I never get in? What if I have to stand outside the club and wait? And that's going to be so embarrassing. They'll probably think I'm lame. And that kind of negative self-talk turns on. And I feel like this is like the year when you would be like, I'm going to the nightclub. I'm getting dressed up. I'm getting my friends together. We're going to make this happen. You're really stepping into that empowered energy big time. Queen of Wands vibes for sure for you. So no longer letting anyone tell you what to do. I also feel like for those of you guys who are very single, you might be taking that approach towards dating where you're like, no longer sitting around waiting for someone to come ride up on a white horse, but you're like, I want what I want. Like I always think it's funny, sometimes I'll talk to someone and they're like, yeah, I've been single, I want to date, or I'm thinking of this ex, and then I'll be like, well, have you been dating? And they're like, no, I haven't been on the dating apps, I haven't been going out. And I always think that's so funny because, I mean, of course you gotta like get back out there. Maybe it's my Aries Venus, but I always feel like, listen, once one door closes, another opens. And that's not to say that you have to like sleep around, or you have to be, talking to lots of different people. Obviously, if you're in a monogamous relationship, then that's important to respect the boundaries of that. But I also feel like a lot of people, maybe they are so clinging to an old relationship, or they're clinging to some old energy, and they're not allowing new energy to flow in. And then they wonder, like, why haven't I talked to someone? Why haven't I met someone? And the more we can step into that energy of knowing what we deserve, being unafraid, and then maybe seeking out, maybe having like that those standards, those boundaries, that kind of list of like, okay, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, and really stepping into it in an empowered way, really sorting out the people that don't resonate with us and stepping forward and knowing we deserve the best is such a magnetic energy to be coming from. So maybe if you're single, you might be more willing to go on dating apps or go out to the clubs or talk to people or flirt. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with like having fun. Of course, you should always respect your own boundaries for yourself. And I'm not saying you should do anything you're not comfortable with. I think that's really important to protect yourself and look after yourself, but also embracing the funness of life, embracing the beauty of life is also really important for us. So let me clear these cards and then let's get into some new decks and let's see what Spirit wants to say to us. So what can pile number 2 expect for the rest of 2024? What can pile number 2 expect for the rest of 2024? So we got new beginnings, psychic abilities, inspiration, and protection. And let's get 2 more cards. So we got Spirit Guide and happiness. Love that. Yeah, some of you guys might be really working as well on your psychic abilities. I could see some of you guys taking courses or doing some mentorship with that, like maybe learning how to read tarot, getting your Reiki certification, something like that. I feel like you are really taking this seriously on a really deep level. Like if in the past, with your psychic abilities, you would ever doubt them, or you knew you had the gifts and the talents, but you didn't want to fully step into that, or it would make you nervous anytime you had to like rely on your psychic abilities. I feel like that's going to change, and you guys are going to truly make this a major focus for yourself, even if it's like doing yoga, getting your yoga teaching certification, getting a Reiki certification, doing an intensive yoga course. There's so many different ways to harness our spirituality, getting really into crystals, doing candle magic. I feel like you are very much more confident in yourself. You're learning to trust the process. I always think it's so funny how sometimes someone will get the psychic download, like they will get the message, but they won't listen. Like, you know how so much of the time women will say, you know, if their boyfriend cheated or something, they'll be like, it's so funny. I always had a feeling about that friend, or I didn't even know her, but I just scrolled through his following and I just knew it was her. And it's always like women's intuition is so on point. It's always right. And yet so much of the time we end up doubting it in our day-to-day existence. We end up telling ourselves, no, you're crazy. Don't think that. And I think it can be such a powerful moment when you really learn to harness it, you really learn to listen. And instead of gaslighting yourself or not listening to yourself or putting yourself as second best, you prioritize yourself, your voice, and what is right for you, instead of doing things to make other people comfortable, holding yourself back in order to make a relationship continue to flow, a job continue to flow. So yeah, you guys can also be very, very inspired. You might be creatively inspired. You might be wanting to paint or write or draw or learn some kind of creative hobby. I feel like a lot of you guys are going to really embrace, again, it could possibly be something you turn into a business or you learn to make money from. Anything that you have been really called to do and it's been kind of niggling away in the back of your mind, like, oh, you should start this business or you'd be really good at that, you should try it. It's like, this is the time when I think you really embrace it. So you could be taking a hobby course, you could be learning more in some area, or just taking it more seriously. Maybe if you've written as a hobby, now you try to self-publish on Amazon. Maybe if you've been painting, you start posting them on Instagram and you let people kind of see your process a lot more. I feel like it's like anything you've been kind of doing halfway, anything you've been kind of wanting to do, but you've been afraid to, that energy is starting to clear and you're getting a lot more fire in you. You're getting a lot more passion and you're really willing to embrace it. This could also be an amazing time for you to spend with friends, with your loved ones. It could be a great time for you to go out more and socialize more. I feel like your social skills are going to be really on point. You might be extra charismatic at this time in your life, and it's like you just know what to say. The jokes are coming easily, the responses are coming easily, and you have that confidence. Like you kind of know that you are, you know, that girl or that guy. And so if in the past it would make you nervous, like, oh, I don't want to go to this party, I don't know anyone, I feel awkward, I feel like that's really changing. And you're ready to really embrace and almost like just feel safe and trust yourself with this protection card. If in the past you used to worry about all the worst case scenarios and what if that goes wrong, what if that happens, I feel like now you just have much more confidence and much more inner self-esteem, so that you're not even letting your mind go to those negative areas. Let's get some more cards for you. Pile number 2. What can pile 2 expect for the rest of 2024? So we got attachment, storm warning, and door to value, caring connections. Oh, this is from another deck. Let's see. Man holding a coin. Lots of money cards you guys keep getting. Lots and lots of money cards. I feel like this is going to be a really great year for you financially, and you might find that you're just really lucky this year. If you invest, you might have that Midas touch, that eye for what's going to make a lot more money. If you start your business, you might have a random download about like, oh, this product line would be great, or this advertising campaign would be really good, or I should have this approach. I should word it this way. But money really might be flowing into you a lot for the rest of 2024. You also, again, might be getting more standards when you're dating, when you're in relationships. You might really have like sit down and put together a list, or things that you used to tolerate in the past that would kind of bother you but you'd overlook. I feel like you're no longer tolerating it. You're really having that faith in yourself, and it's almost like you'd rather be single or you'd rather be alone than tolerate any bad behavior. I feel like it's like you're betting on yourself. You know, you're really looking after yourself. You're no longer going to compromise to make room for friendships, to make room for relationships. So you might even be stepping away from old friendships or old relationships that you used to tolerate. If you had a situationship that would always hit you up all the time and you'd always go back to them and you didn't really feel good about it and you didn't really think they cared, but you know, it's just something to do and it's a bad habit. I feel like you're definitely not doing that anymore, and you are going to only accept when someone comes correct and when they're acting right. So if they're going to approach you in a janky way, if they're only going to hit you up with a late night text or, you know, sending you like a risque DM, that's done and that's dusted. So you might start attracting more and more of the kind of partners you like, or if you're in a relationship, this could be a really great time when your partner really dotes on you, goes above and beyond. You might also be better at explaining your expectations, saying what you want, really asking for what you need and kind of expressing yourself in that way. I feel like in the past, any scarcity mindset you may have had, any idea of, oh, I can only accept this, or someone won't be okay with it if I say that, you're now much more willing to face that conflict. We got storm warning, so it's almost like you're now willing to face the storm and to withstand any problems someone or something may direct in your way. But yeah, overall, I feel like the theme for this year, it's really heavy on business. It's really heavy on success. It feels like that's a main focus for you. And then it's almost like everything else falls into second place. So if you are in a relationship, that person might have to take a little bit of a backseat for a while you focus on making money. Or if, you know, you are single, you might be like, yeah, I'm dating, but I'm not taking it as seriously. Like, yes, I'm dating, but also like if you asked me if we can go out on Wednesday night and I had a client meeting that night, then like, no, the clients come first. It feels like you're really getting your boundaries right, setting your boundaries into place, and you're going to experience so much abundance and success as a result. So yeah, this seems like it's going to be an amazing rest of the year for you. Pile number 2. So I really hope that resonates, guys. If you want to see more of my content, then be sure to head on over to my Patreon. There are over 90 exclusive readings you'll only get access to when you sign up for Patreon, and you also get early and ad-free access to all my YouTube videos. I just posted a reading all about what people have realized about you, as well as your twin flame past soul connection with this person. What karma do you have with them? Did you know them in past lives? We get into all of that, and also a reading all about your twin flame soulmate, when they're going to come in, how they're going to come in. We get into a ton of detail, but like I said, there's so many different readings to choose from, over 90 over on my Patreon, and early ad-free access to YouTube videos. So if that sounds good, head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description and join me on Patreon. Also, if you're interested in booking a private session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. You can sign up for a tarot session, a channeling session, an astrology session, a combination of all three. You can do it pre-recorded or live. You get to really customize your session, so it's the perfect reading for you. If that sounds good and you're interested in signing up, head to my website, briarrosetarot.com. Link for that is in my description. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will see you again very, very soon in another reading. Take care, guys, and I will see you then. Bye. Hey, pile number 3, welcome to your reading. Let's get into your cards. So you guys got the 10 of Cups, the Ace of Cups, 4 of Wands, 5 of Swords, 6 of Pentacles, the Lord, aka the Emperor, the Tower, and the 5 of Cups. So, a very exciting rest of 2024 for you guys. The 10 of Cups coming out with the Ace of Cups and the Four of Wands. I mean, all together, like these are cards that, when combined, could definitely indicate marriage, having kids, finding a really serious relationship. The Ace of Cups can often indicate a new baby or a new serious relationship. The 10 of Cups shows a family really fulfilled in front of a house. The Four of Wands can show a marriage, a wedding ceremony taking place. So I'm not saying all of those are going to happen within the next few months. Of course, it could. For some of you guys, that would be a very action-packed, jam-packed next 6 months. But I feel like for a lot of you guys, this could be meeting that person that one day you marry, or if you're in a relationship and you are married, getting pregnant, or if you're in a relationship at all, getting pregnant, or someone proposing, getting engaged. It could also be deepening your relationship and really reaching a level of more intimacy and more trust with that person, opening up to them on a much deeper level. For a lot of you guys, if you're, like I said, already in a relationship, it could be really settling down, getting into a routine, getting into a schedule, even like buying a house together, or moving in together, transforming someone's apartment or bachelor pad into a home. Merging lives in that way. The 10 of Cups can definitely talk about that, especially when combined with all these other cards. So it definitely seems like your romantic life, your dating life could be a major focus, and there's a lot of potential there, especially if you're single. Ooh, this could be someone coming in and, they want everything from you. They want 0 to 60. They want it all. They're not playing games. They don't want casual. This could be meeting someone that you marry in the future, or someone who sees you as the love of their life. And even if this doesn't have romantic implications, if it's not resonating for you romantically, it could be redecorating your house. It could be the Ace of Cups could be a beautiful creative idea. The Four of Wands could be going out and having fun. But either way, however it resonates for you, it's definitely going to be a really fun time in your life when you are enjoying and you're feeling really romantically or emotionally fulfilled, I should say. You're feeling really happy. You're feeling really joyful. The Ten of Cups shows a deep level of emotional contentment. It shows being really happy with where you are in your life. Almost like those nights that just seem magical, and you're maybe surrounded by friends or family members, and you're just so grateful to be alive, and the world just seems like such a beautiful place. So yeah, it seems like there's a lot of fulfillment happening for you throughout the rest of the year. And like I said, maybe some new beginning, whether it comes to a creative idea, whether it comes to a new person entering your life, maybe a new baby for some of you guys, maybe a new relationship, romantic relationship, friendship even. But it feels like you are really filling your cup up and really allowing things to enter into your life and welcoming them in. Maybe you're more emotionally ready for that than you were in the past. Maybe you've done some shadow work on yourself, worked through any intimacy issues, worked through any relationship issues you have. So I feel like you're kind of ready to take those new steps, and it feels like there's a new level of maturity around you. Pile number 3. We also got the Emperor coming out, the Six of Pentacles. So this person could also, you could be having someone come in who wants to date you, who also wants to financially take care of you or is very generous. You could be having those conversations about merging finances when you get really serious with someone, or if you have a baby with them or marry them. Obviously you need to have those discussions about who's, how are the finances going to be split up. At least I used to work in family law, so I always think that's really important. Some people don't have those conversations, I guess, but I'm always like, how? Because I feel like you should get them out of the way definitely at the beginning, and get everything kind of like stated out in the open so you know what to expect. So yeah, this person could want to take care of you, or you could be asking for help in some way, not even necessarily from your romantic partner, but you might find people are very generous with you. I feel like there's an energy with you, pile 3, where you're more capable of receiving than you were in the past. Maybe in the past you had a very independent attitude, or you had an attitude of like, I can do it all on my own, I'm fine. And I feel like you're almost accepting that we as humans, we do to feed off each other's energy. And it's not to say you need a relationship, you need to be with a person, but sometimes it can be nice to have that person. Sometimes it can be nice to have someone you tell your problems to at the end of the day, or sometimes it can be a really nice thing to have that person you can trust, that you feel like is on your side and whatnot. So I feel like you are leaving behind like an overly independent energy and really stepping into more of a warm, open energy, and kind of like more receptive to whatever the spirit might bring in for you. You're no longer necessarily pushing it away or getting upset about it. I feel like you're much more receptive and open than you were in the past. There's also maybe some disappointments happening, I'm not gonna lie, with the Five of Swords, the Tower, the Five of Cups. Fives in general across the tarot decks aren't super positive. They're definitely the low point of the tarot, I would say, in all the decks. So, you know, there could be a disappointment happening for you guys. There could be something that you're not super happy about, or something that comes in that kind of feels disruptive. I almost feel like some of this is like hard conversations, or taking a look at certain things in your life that maybe you haven't really wanted to like address. Sometimes that could be financial, sometimes that could be relationship. It could be, you know, something you maybe ignored or put on the back burner that really comes to the forefront and makes you address it. The Tower also definitely has to do with things we ignore, because only something that is built on an unsolid foundation can fall, like the Tower card shows. So if it's like a sturdy foundation and you've shored up those walls and you have made sure everything is well built, then the Tower is going to stay up no matter what. But if it's not really a stable foundation and it wasn't super well built, then that's when it falls. So that's why we have to pay attention to, like, how does this feel? How stable does it feel? What can it withstand? And is there something I created in my life that I feel like I can't fully trust or fully feel safe with? Is there a person, place, thing, whatever, that is giving me anxiety? And if there is, like, let me unpack that. Is that real? Is it legitimate? Is it something that I need to address or can address? Or is it something that I'm just making up in my own mind? Let's get into some more tarot for you. Pile number 3. So we want to know what's going to happen for pile 3 for the next part of the year and the rest of 2024. We got the Hermit. Okay. The Four of Pentacles. The Five of Pentacles, okay, oh, excuse me, Six of Pentacles, so double Six of Pentacles, that's exciting. The Nine of Cups, the Hanged Man. This one is the Temperance card. And let's get one more. This one is the King of Pentacles. So yeah, I feel like also with the Emperor, the Six of Pentacles coming through twice, a lot of this is about you being willing to like rely on someone else or ask someone for help. Again, if you're in a relationship, this could be being a little bit more dependent or open with your partner. Maybe you have been very independent in the past. Maybe you've been someone that just manages everything yourself, or you've got it all handled, I'll take care of it, whatever, I don't need you. You're kind of like, you've been in hermit mode, you've been doing your own thing, you've been very self-reliant. And now you're like, you know, I kind of feel like I can trust this person, or maybe I'm in that place in my life where I'm more open to bringing this person in and to allowing them to come into my life. I feel like for you, this is as much about like maybe asking for help when it comes to career or finances or anything like that, but also a lot emotionally as well, like being willing to ask for help, being willing to depend on someone, opening your heart up to trust in that level, opening your heart up to say what you need instead of running away from it. Sometimes we think like, oh, I'm being so powerful and I'm being so strong by doing it myself, but we're actually terrified to ask, because what if that person says no? What if they think we're crazy? Especially for those people that like had to manage a lot as a child, maybe they had to take care of things themselves. It can be really scary and feel really weird to have to ask anyone for help with anything. I know when I was younger, I definitely feel like I used to be like hyper independent. I would move by myself. I would be like lifting heavy boxes by myself. And, you know, I would do everything by myself. And I think that process of learning to ask for something from others, it can feel so scary when you first start doing it. It can feel so vulnerable to be like, could you help? And also it can feel very out of pocket. Like, why would I ask this person that? They're gonna think I'm crazy. They're gonna think I'm like entitled, or they're gonna think I'm like so lazy or whatever. And so it can feel really hard to be willing to be vulnerable and say like, hey, I need a little help with this. Would you be willing to? Do you have time? But I think a lot of people actually love to help. Like, I actually read a psychology hack is, if you want someone to like you, don't do something for them, but ask them to do something really small for you, like a small favor. And if they say yes and they actually do that small thing for you, they're actually scientifically proven to like you more after, because then they'll justify to themselves like, well, I must actually like them because I did this for them. And anyway, so actually, even though you might be terrified that like if you ask, actually it's a little bit of a hack, they will like you more afterwards. So definitely don't be afraid. But I feel like for you, there's almost the karmic purpose or the soul growth that's happening is, I feel like spirit wants you to be a little bit more open. Spirit doesn't want you to be as much of a hermit or as much of keeping people at a distance. And I feel like you need to realize how completely lovable you are. And that's going to be a theme for you for the rest of 2024, is like letting people in, saying you need help, asking if there's a problem, asking if there's something someone can do for you, being like, you know, let me go ahead and voice this. Let me put this into words instead of let me carry this all by myself, struggle with it, and kind of like feel like I'm on my own. How can I actually address it? How can I actually change things? How can I actually get myself to that place of being willing to be vulnerable and let them in? And I think most of the time you'll find people are actually, especially someone that really likes you, they're going to be thrilled when you ask them for help. They're going to be super glad that you brought them your problems and you trust them, and they don't want you necessarily to be like this super standoffish, like I can handle everything on my own type person. So yeah, I feel like you're really opening your heart up and you're making more room for that depth, those relationships that aren't just like surface level, but where you can really trust, where you can really get to know the other person and go deep with them and feel like they really know you and you really know them. So yeah, there may be a Five of Pentacles moment, which can be a low point or a hardship, but it can make you turn to someone else, ask them for help, tell them that you need them, and you might be really surprised that it actually ends up being like way more positive that you went through that. So yeah, I feel like that is your theme for the rest of the year. It's almost like, think of, instead of having an attitude of like, I can do it myself, I've got this, how can I be more comfortable expressing and being honest about my vulnerability? How can I tell this person what I'm actually going through and feel confident and safe in that process? And how can I also maybe question my instinct to tell myself it's fine, I can do it? Sometimes also I think we can get into a place where we feel like we need to be tough, we don't want to be vulnerable, so we can be very cut off from our emotions. And sometimes that's actually not being emotionally honest or being, emotionally real. We might think, oh, I'm keeping it real, I'm being tough. But if we're not even willing to explore our emotions, if we're not even willing to tell ourselves how we're feeling and actually sit with those emotions, then we're running away. We're not facing it. We're not being brave. We're running. So sometimes, what we think is like the tough thing to do, like giving someone the silent treatment or ignoring them, depending on the situation or what they did, it might not actually be the healthiest thing. And a lot of times when we're acting in that way, when we like cut someone off or stop talking to them, what we're actually hoping is that they'll take the initiative. They'll be the brave one to message us or to tell us how they're feeling. That's why I'm actually an advocate. A lot of times people say, oh, cut this person off, ghost them, whatever. I actually think, if you really like someone or you have unfinished business with someone or you keep thinking of them, just send the text, just do it, because then the ball is in their court, and at least you won't have that kind of like specter of what if hovering over you. And I think this is a really powerful mantra for whatever you have in your life, whatever you want to do. If you're like, I really want to do this with my career, it's like, just do it. Just send your resume out. Just stop thinking about it and just act on it. If you're like, I really want to talk or communicate with this person, I have this to say, or I feel this way about them, maybe you don't need to be so tough and resilient. Wait, maybe you're not an island. Maybe it's okay for you to open yourself up, and maybe you'll get hurt and maybe you won't. But you know, it's okay to need someone. It's okay not to be this tough rock, like closed off ice queen. You know, we don't have to, that's not even necessarily a healthy way to live. So yeah, I just feel like that is a big theme for you guys, is like almost moving away from a standoffishness or from a hyper independent mode, and moving into a place where you're more willing to confront your emotions, be honest with your emotions, be honest with yourself, and realize your own vulnerabilities. So let's get into more cards for you, pile number 3. So we want to get into cards for pile 3 for the rest of 2024. What's going to be happening for pile number 3 for the rest of 2024? So we got animals. Again, with that like family vibe, like maybe you are settling down and buying a house and adopting animals and having a baby and doing all 9 yards. Oh my God, as I'm saying, having a baby, fertility, that is definitely a theme. If you're trying to get pregnant, that could definitely be something that happens for you in the rest of the year. Beauty, compassion. I'm also getting a theme for you that one major thing you're doing more is looking after yourself. I feel like you used to be very stoic, and family, I'm telling you, you guys, like this is such a big theme for you, is kind of realizing that closeness with another person and how good it can feel. I also feel like there's a theme for you of looking after yourself and maybe like pampering yourself even. Like, again, sometimes that like hyper independent attitude, or that I don't need anyone attitude, can come through with how we treat ourselves physically, whether we give ourselves time to work out, whether we feed ourselves nutritious food, whether we take the time out, even though it may sound silly, to do a facial or to go get a massage or to get our nails painted. Even though those may seem like really small things and like, oh my God, who cares? That's not a spiritual practice to get a manicure, but it can be if you're doing it out of a place of self-love, if you're treating yourself with that reverence, and it can be very healing, especially if you have had trouble doing that in the past. Like if you have had trouble looking after yourself, investing in yourself, if you've treated yourself like you are, not that important, if you have gotten into relationships with people who also treat you that way, if you've gotten into situations where someone is taking you for granted, or they kind of treat you like you're not that important to them, and that's something you have tolerated, it can be very healing to go make sure that like you have a spa day every month or every 2 weeks or whatever the timeline is. It can be very healing to be like, actually, you know what, I'm too tired. Can you cook the dinner tonight? I'm gonna go sit on the couch and lay down. And even like within a relationship, sometimes renegotiating that, or putting up different boundaries, or being willing to express our needs and ask for help from that other person, and being willing to be vulnerable and honest with them. And sometimes the more we pour into ourselves, the more we give that energy to ourselves, the better things can be with our partner. Sometimes we think if we overgive, overextend ourselves, if we kind of make ourselves into this like super warrior, I can handle it all on my own, that other person is going to like us more. But so much of the time it's through the vulnerability, it's through the honesty, it's through the needs. Like when I think about the things I love about the people in my life, I don't think about like, oh, and they're really good at math and they're really fast, and so they can sprint a mile really quickly. Or I don't think about, oh, they are, really like they won a math award in high school, or they got a promotion at their job. I don't think of those things. I think of like the goofy way they laugh, or the way when they get impatient they start fidgeting and pacing around, or like the way that when they get frustrated, this weird look crosses their eyes, and you almost want to laugh when you see them dealing with someone and they get that look. I think of like all those negatives, and I think that's the case for most of us. When we think about really what we love about someone, we think about their flaws. So I guess my message is, don't be afraid to express that. Don't be afraid to let someone in a little bit, or to show your stupid side, your dorky side, your flaws. A lot of times those things that you are terrified will make the other person run away, and you're convinced like they're going to hate this about me. This is just going to be awful. If they see this side of me, they're going to run. A lot of times that's the thing that will make them fall in love the most, that will make them alchemize to you the most. And any relationship that's not really built on that solid foundation of honesty isn't even worth it anyway. So why would you even want it or tolerate it? I feel like for you guys, this is about even having self-compassion, like forgiving yourself, no longer looking at yourself through a harsh lens, and maybe also having compassion, learning to compromise in relationships. The seventh house of relationships is ruled by Libra. It opposes Aries. So it's not about our self-interest. It's about learning to compromise and let that person in, learning to consider their perspective, not just being rooted in our own wants and desires and our own self-interest, but in what's best for the relationship, for the couple, what they would have to say, thinking about ways that we can make them happy as well as ourselves. So sometimes I think we can get very rooted in what we want, and sometimes the way to alchemize is to kind of let those walls down and let our guard down and kind of like just energetically be more in a flow, be more open, be more giving, be more willing to offer love, or more willing to give someone the benefit of the doubt. And then that can transform our existing relationships, and it can also alchemize new relationships. So if you guys are single, this could be a really great rest of the year when it comes to dating, when it comes to meeting people, when it comes to going out. You might be very beautiful and attracting the right kind of person. People really might be noticing you, paying attention to you, drawn to you. And if you haven't dated for a while, this could be you finally having that courage to like let someone into your life and to be brave enough. Sometimes it's also being brave enough to admit what we need. And some people are also like completely happy single. So if that doesn't apply to you and you're like, no, I'm good, then of course, that's totally fine. I just think sometimes either way, we need to work on that self-compassion, and sometimes even being okay with being vulnerable, admitting that we need someone, admitting that we're not a complete island, and that one of the things of this life, it's not the only purpose of this life, but for some people, and everyone has different life paths. So not everyone has this as part of their life path. And for some people, being single is their life path. They're not supposed to be focusing on seventh house things. They probably already checked that off majorly in past lifetimes. And so for them, they might not have to worry about this. But for a lot of people, learning to negotiate relationships, it can be one of the trickiest, most difficult lessons. And so even on the spiritual growth path, that can be something that you're called to learn or be open to. And even if it's not about a romantic relationships, even if it's about learning to love an animal, learning to take care of someone, or learning to talk to friends, learning to bring people into your life, learning to admit your own emotional needs can really help you to alchemize everything in your life. So yeah, I feel like this is just a really exciting time, and there's a lot of deep soul growth and shadow work happening for you, pile number 3. So let's get into some more cards and see what you can expect for the rest of 2024. So we got blossoming abundance, 5th chakra, Archangel Gabriel. And I love that this came out over the prosperity card. So this could also be a really good time for you financially. And as I say that, we get woman holding a coin, another great financial card. So this could be a really good time for you with your finances. I also feel like I'm getting a message that the more fun you have, the more you embrace your enthusiasm and seek out that joy, the more money you're going to make. This could also be a message about like if you have been all business, focused on your bag, focused on your career, and kind of neglecting your personal life or your emotions, this could be that message of how the more we focus on those things that bring us joy, the more we focus on happiness and emotional fulfillment and feeling good, the more we alchemize and attract all those good things, including financial abundance. So sometimes we think we're doing the right thing by just pushing ourselves to the bone and kind of like not taking a day off, not taking a vacation, not spending time with friends or with a loved one. But actually, we can be blocking that abundance. We can be pushing it away from us by acting like robots. And people can also sense like that burnt out energy. We really do get energy from being around other humans, especially from being around like loved ones and people we're super close to. So neglecting spending time with friends, neglecting spending time with your partner because you're completely focused on your career sometimes isn't the best strategy. We also got fifth chakra Archangel Gabriel. Gabriel rules the throat chakra. So I feel like for you, this is also about learning to speak up, maybe in the context of your relationships or your career as well. But I feel like for you, it really has been an issue where sometimes you don't feel comfortable expressing needs, or maybe you express needs in a dysfunctional way. Like instead of saying, you know, I'm really feeling insecure about your intentions and I just want to know how committed you are to this, you're like, we should break up. You know what? I'm leaving. And that's your way of like negotiating things. And secretly deep down, you're just wanting that person to say, like, I love you, babe, come back. But it leads into a fight, and it's not a functional way to really express those needs. So this could also be working on yourself and learning to express things maturely and learning to say and voice your feelings and your emotions. Let's get some more cards for you. Pile number 3. So we got the World, Victory, and seventh chakra Archangel Uriel, the crown chakra. So that can also be trusting your intuition as well. And the crown chakra really connects us with everyone else in the world. It's really about community and that communal energy that we deal with when it comes to the latter part of the zodiac, whether it's Pisces, whether it's Aquarius, whether it's Capricorn. They're kind of communal energies that connect with the collective energies. That's the word I was thinking of. Especially like Pisces really deals with the emotions of others. And it is an extremely psychic energy that, you know, we really feel the energy of everyone around us. And that is proof of how much we get affected by collective emotions. So like when we're feeling really down, spending time with that friend, spending time with our dog, cuddling up with a loved one, whether it's our parent or like a mom or a friend or whoever. It doesn't have to be romantic, although of course it can be romantic. It can bring us so much joy, and we can really feed off of that person's energy as well in a positive way. So I feel like for you, you're kind of letting those barriers down in a big way. We also got the World and the Victory card. The World in Tarot in the Major Arcana, it's the final Major Arcana card, symboling the completion of the cycle. I feel like I'm getting a message that for a lot of you guys, you have majorly leveled up with your spiritual work, with your kind of like emotional work that you've been doing. You've been doing a lot of shadow work. You've worked through old habits, bad habits, and I feel like it's almost like your graduation ceremony happening. Like you are done. You've completed a cycle. You've left certain things in the past, certain dysfunctional behaviors in the past, and I feel like now you are ready to become this different version of yourself that is almost like you wouldn't have ever expected in the past. Like maybe in the past you thought certain blessings weren't for someone like you, or that you were too dysfunctional to like have enough money or to have a good love life, or I could never have a family, or I could never buy a house, or whatever the case may be. And I feel like it's like the shadow work you have been doing, your guides, angels, ancestors are just so proud of you, and they're ready to welcome in this new phase. They're ready to welcome in this new energy, and they're like saying, you are so capable of that. You are beyond capable of that, and you don't even realize what a prize you are, how special you are, and how amazing you are. And of course, you are going to be capable of taking on these new challenges. You are going to be capable of accomplishing all of this. So it really does seem like the rest of 2024 is just almost like you seeing how good things can get and realizing that certain things that maybe you thought were like an impossibility for you, or you could never do that, they're finally starting to become reality. Maybe things you put on your vision board, maybe things you worked on manifesting, they're finally coming true. I mean, you guys pulled the 9 of Cups as well, which can be a card about wishes and dreams coming true. And you got the 10 of Cups. That is such a deep level of emotional fulfillment. So I really think the rest of 2024 is going to be amazing for you guys. You're going to give it like 10 stars, you know, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5. You're just loving it. You would give it a glowing review, and it may be a really amazing year for you guys. So that is what I have for you, pile number 3. I really hope it resonates. If it does, and you want to see more of my content, then head on over to my Patreon. There are over 90 exclusive readings you'll only get access to when you sign up for Patreon, and you will also get early and ad-free access to all my YouTube videos. I just posted a reading all about your person and any past life connection. So how do you know this person on the astral plane? Do you have karma with them? Did you know them in another life? What is the connection there? As well as I posted a reading before that about what have people realized about you, as well as one about your special person and when they're going to come in, when you're going to meet your soulmate, what the timeline is for all of that. But like I said, there's over 90 readings over there, and you also get early and ad-free access to all my YouTube videos. So if that sounds good and you're interested in signing up, head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description and join me on Patreon. Also, if you would like to book a private session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. Whether you want an astrology reading, a tarot reading, a channeling session, a combination of all three, whether you want it to be pre-recorded or live, you get to really customize your time so that it's the perfect session for you. If that sounds good and you want to sign up, head to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and link for that is in my description. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will see you again very soon in another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey Pile 4, welcome to your reading. Let's get into your cards and see everything you can expect for the rest of 2024. So we got the Seven of Swords, the Feralt, aka the Temperance card, the Ten of Swords, Five of Wands, Prince of Cups, Ace of Pentacles, Three of Pentacles, and the Queen of Cups. So with the Seven of Swords coming up first, that can sometimes indicate there's deception going on. And since it came out combined with the Five of Wands and the Ten of Swords, you guys may be dealing with a kind of tricky situation. There may be something that arises that has to do with someone being dishonest with you, someone not treating you fairly, someone deceiving you on purpose or trying to trick you. And the Five of Wands can show some conflict. So I feel like a theme for you as we head into 2024 is kind of like standing up for yourself, and to a certain extent as well, trusting your intuition. We got the Prince of Cups as well as the Queen of Cups. And of course, the Cups rule intuition. So when we have two of the suit cards from the Cups deck, that can indicate becoming someone who's really going to listen and pay attention to those signs and to those signals. I feel like so much of the time, you know, sometimes people will say, oh, I'm not psychic at all. Like I have a friend who has a Neptune conjunct their sun, and I'm always telling them that they're psychic, and I'll be like, so since you're psychic, what's your view of things? And they'll be like, I'm not psychic, I'm not psychic. And it's so funny because I notice this person being psychic like literally all the time, like randomly picking restaurants and they always turn out to be amazing, or being like, no, let's order this dish instead, and it's so good. And it's like, that person is so intuitive, but it's funny because they would never know that they're doing psychic work when they randomly pick the restaurant, and it just hits every time. And I think so much of the time there are people that get those downloads, they get the intuition, they know that there's, you know, whether it's intuition for something positive or negative, but they don't listen and they don't trust it and they gaslight themselves. So they may know someone's being shady to them, or that they don't really feel safe around someone, but they tell themselves, oh, what are you talking about? They've always been nice to you. Come on, you're overthinking, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like for you, one of the themes as we go into 2024 is really trusting your own judgment and your own intuition and using that to really navigate, because it's almost like Spirit is telling me that you've known you were intuitive for a really long time. It's like at this point, you can't even deny it. You can't even pretend like, oh, I didn't get the signal. No, I'm not intuitive. I don't know. It's like you really know you're intuitive. So if you're not listening, if you're pretending like you didn't hear it, like I feel like your guides are going to be like, let's put you in some challenging situations so you're forced to rely on it, you know, because it's funny. I feel like sometimes when there's a life and death situation, that's when suddenly everyone starts relying on their intuition. I'll never forget that book, The Gift of Fear by Gavin de Becker, which is such a good book. It kind of got me into, like, I would say that was a pivotal book on my journey towards doing tarot and stuff, because it really teaches you how powerful your intuition is and how you psychically know all the time. Even though it's not a psychic book, like there were so many stories of people who went through crimes or had violent experiences, and they always said, I thought there was something weird about the guy, or I thought there was something off, or I felt really unsafe, but they wouldn't listen to their intuition. And the theme of that book is how women get pressured to be polite. I don't want to be mean, so I'm not going to do anything about it. But it's like you often know in your heart that like that person makes you uncomfortable, or you don't feel safe around them, and you're picking up on things unconsciously. And I feel like for you guys, like the rest of 2024 may be about, you have to deal with like a troublesome coworker that tries to sabotage you, and getting to the point where you're going to listen to that. You're not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. You're not going to try to get them coffee and make them like you. You're going to start paying attention and covering for yourself. And there may even be like a little mini duel or a fight or a battle that has to happen between you guys where you're both, trying to win. And I feel like for you, again, a theme of 2024 is learning to advocate for yourself, learning that you have the right to stand up for yourself, and the things that you're asking for aren't like out of pocket or crazy. And so it's okay to ask for more. It's okay to sometimes even engage in those battles. As much as, in the spiritual community, people want to be like, oh, it's always peace and love, but sometimes you do have to fight. Sometimes there's someone dysfunctional who's coming for you. And it's not to say get sucked down into that, because I think, a lot of times fighting with someone can be that waste of time. And sometimes the best way to alchemize or change a situation is just to focus on the good, just to keep yourself moving forward, just to kind of like ignore the negativity and focus on the best possible outcome. But sometimes we got to fight. Sometimes we got to stand up for ourselves. And that's a part of the spiritual journey as well. So I feel like it's almost like you're really learning your own self-worth and maybe how to navigate those situations, maybe how to stand up for yourself. I'm hearing for some of you guys, this could manifest as like a court case or a tricky legal situation that you might be having to navigate. And I feel like, again, the value in this situation is going to come through learning to stand up for yourself, learning to dot your I's, cross your T's, and make sure everything is taken care of and handled. And it's almost like you're going to have to maybe double check paperwork, or you're going to have to make sure you did everything right and double check. It could also even be a message for some of you guys about like taxes or financial situations like credit card debt or whatever, making sure that you're staying on top of everything, making sure that you're not allowing things to just snowball or run out of control for you in 2024, but really taking a hard look at things and taking an active attitude, or being more managing those situations and really taking control of them. Again, I think another thing that happens sometimes when situations get hard, I know I definitely do this as a Pisces, we're probably the worst at this, but we can get into like kind of this helplessness, like when a situation seems daunting or overwhelming, it's like, I can't deal with this. Or even this could be when you have a problem in an interpersonal conflict, like when you're getting into an argument with your friend or a sibling or a romantic partner. Maybe feel more comfortable arguing like this with a sibling, but a lot of times with like close friends, romantic partners, we can be like, oh my God, I can't say that. Or maybe we feel like we let things bottle up, we don't voice it, and then we just explode and say the craziest things. And a big part of learning to navigate relationships is learning to have those arguments or those disagreements, but to do it in a way that is respectful and honest, respects the other person, doesn't degrade them, isn't needlessly starting conflict for no reason, but is trying to work through a problem and being on the same team with them and giving them that opportunity to like give their side and to change, and not just to like storm out or just blow up a situation over nothing. So I feel like it's almost like you're working on your conflict management skills, and you're working on learning how to voice yourself and speak up more and say how you feel as well. We got the Prince of Cups, the Queen of Cups. One thing the cup suits are always going to do is feel things and be in touch with their emotions. So sometimes I think we think it's like really mature to blot out our emotions, to pretend like we don't care, to stuff down our emotions, or to ignore how we feel. But actually that can be a really immature energy. And sometimes the very best thing we can do is to be willing to be vulnerable, to be willing to say how we feel, and to trust the other person that they will be able to receive that, and to present the information in a way that, again, isn't like super overly hostile or aggressive, but is like listen, I really want to bring this up to you. I'm upset, and kind of like the more mature way of going about it. And definitely the Queen of Cups, you know, has matured and is willing to do that a lot more, willing to have those conversations. Cups also literally rule over relationships and deal with relationships. So it's like, whenever you see the Queen of Cups, that's someone that may have really mastered their ability in relationships to manage those conversations, to honor the other person's emotions as well as their emotions. Yeah, so I feel like for 2024, it's like you're going through a lot of these. Maybe they could look like hardships at first, but there's also real alchemizing and really deep shadow work happening. And I feel like there's going to be a payoff at some point where you're like, I'm so glad I did that, or I'm so glad I had that conversation. And it's like you're going to come out by 2025 and just be like, oh, I'm so glad I mastered that. I'm so glad I learned that. I'm so glad I took care of that. Like, wow, I'm really glad I learned that lesson earlier. So let's get into some more cards for you. Pile number 4. What is happening for pile 4 for the rest of 2024? Okay, so this is the Empress. And we got the 8 of Swords, the Sun card, the 6 of Swords, the Knight of Cups, so double Knight of Cups because the Prince of Cups is the Knight of Cups, and the King of Swords, and one final card, the Knight of Swords. So yeah, there's really this heavy emphasis on learning to verbalize and also learning to manage conflict. Just like I said, the Cups deals with relationships. So when you see the Queen of Cups, the King of Cups, that's someone who's really learned to master relationships. The Swords literally show conflict. That's why they are swords. They also deal with mental energy, verbalization, and communication, but they really show conflict. I mean, when you look at the whole Swords cards, the whole deck, they show, you know, conflict situations, sometimes people fighting, whatever. So that is a major theme of the Swords. And when you see the King of Swords, it's someone who's really learned to master conflict and someone who's probably learned to verbalize how they feel, and the Knight of Swords as well. So I feel like for you guys, this is about almost learning to speak up early. Maybe sometimes you let situations like bubble up and overwhelm you. And in 2024, I almost feel like that might not work anymore because your guides are like, this has got to change. So they may really test you. They may bring up situations where you're like, oh, I just don't want to mention anything. I'm not going to say anything. And then it's almost like it comes to a head. You have to voice yourself. You have to say how you feel. You can't hold it back anymore. And I actually think a lot of you guys are going to find that the more you're willing to voice it, or the more you're willing to stand up, the easier this situation is to handle. And the more you try to stuff your feelings down, the more you try to ignore it, the more you try to pretend like everything's fine, the worse the situation gets. So don't be afraid to communicate. Don't be afraid to say what you feel or what you need. And if the person reacts by being like, well, I'm not doing that and screw you, and of course I'm not doing that for you, then that's your message anyway. So either way, it's a win because you're coming out with more knowledge and you're not wasting your time on that situation anymore. But a lot of times you might be surprised that when you put down boundaries in relationships, or you're willing to call us bad behavior out, that person is like, oh yeah, I can fix this. Or, you know, sometimes it's standing up to a bully. Sometimes it's not trying to maintain a relationship, but it's taking on someone head on. A lot of people who are operating out of that 7 of Swords place, they are counting on you not being brave enough to confront them. They are counting on being able to operate in the shadows, because the 7 of Swords literally shows someone deceiving, stealing swords. So it's someone who's not fighting openly or not being like honest about what's going on. It's not like they are, you know, telling you, oh, I'm taking these swords. They're hiding it. They're scheming. They're doing something underhanded. So that person is probably not comfortable if you called it out, or if you like face them head on. They're hoping you're going to try to keep the peace. They're hoping you're going to shy away from conflict. They don't want to face you head on. If they did, they would have told you what was going on. So whenever you're dealing with someone like that, it can really switch the energy up when you're willing to confront them, when you're willing to deal with it, or when you're caught them out and you're like, okay, I see the situation is. Whenever someone's acting dysfunctional, a lot of times, and the Gift of Fear actually talks about this. I highly recommend that book, by the way. I think every woman especially should read it, but really everyone should read it. But you know, when someone is acting dysfunctional, they're counting on you being nice. Like he talks about in the book, you know, so much of the time the woman would see a guy and maybe he didn't look very well dressed or there was something off about him. But so much of the time the woman would think, oh, but I'd be really rude if I crossed the street to avoid him, or oh, that would be mean, or I couldn't say anything now. Like, you know, I have to, like, he asked me if I could let him into the building. He says he lives here. If I just shut the door in his face, that'll be really mean. So I'll just let him in. And that's how they would get into these horrific situations. And so a lot of times it's like we know someone, we often like clock their intentions from the jump, but then we don't want to fight, we don't want conflict, we just want to keep the peace. And that's how, you know, sometimes that dysfunctional person is enabled to act in their crazy way. And if we were willing to address it, if we were willing to stand strongly against them, they wouldn't be able to do anything like that. You also might be willing to walk away from certain situations that you used to put up with. We do have the Six of Swords. So there may be situations that in the past you kind of tolerated or you turned a blind eye to, and now you're definitely ready to leave. This could be like leaving a job. This could be leaving your living situation, moving somewhere else. I also feel like for you, this could be leaving behind certain relationships. And really another thing I would recommend is, and you know, Teal Swan has a whole like video about this that I think is so great, but is about being kind of transactional in relationships. So paying attention to like, what does this person do for me versus what do I do for them? And even though that can get a bad reputation and you're supposed to be endlessly giving, especially women, of course, right? We're always the ones who are pressured to like forgive and overlook and don't be mean and don't be stingy. But a lot of times women can get themselves into very unfair situations as a result. And so sometimes it can be really helpful to sit down and kind of pay attention to like, what have I given this person versus what have I gotten back? What have they done to me versus what have I done for them? And sometimes you might find that when you really do that, like, yeah, it is off. The situation is off. It isn't really fair. Also with the Empress card and the Sun, I feel like this is about discovering your power, finding your own worth, and being willing to speak up for that, being willing to stand 10 toes down and ask for what you want and glow and be strong and be powerful. And maybe even leaving an old situation behind where someone took you for granted, didn't appreciate you, and finding someone else that is really grateful for you and fully sees you for everything you do. That could be another energy. So yeah, it actually could be a really beautiful change happening for you in 2024 and no longer tolerating any nonsense. Let me clear these cards and let's get into another deck. So we are going to go with these cards and see what's happening for pile 4 in 2024. So we got home. Let's see. This one is life purpose. Peace. Passion. New beginnings. And let's get one more card. One final card for pile number 4, Spirit, for 2024. Oh, you guys got 2. Okay, boundaries and travel. Okay, yes, I could definitely see the travel energy. I feel like you guys are like almost sick and tired or fed up with something. Like it feels like there's something that just needs to change. And maybe this is a matter of putting up boundaries. Maybe this is a matter of voicing your concerns or saying how you feel and really just saying it and really putting it out there. Maybe there's a situation that you're really getting fed up of, even if it's not an interpersonal. Maybe it's like something in your career that you're feeling really burnt out with and you're kind of really sick of it and you've had enough, but you continue to plod along and hope this is just going to work out and hope this is going to change. And I'm hearing a message that for some of you guys, you may burn yourself out doing that. So you may also take a vacation in 2024, but they're also saying that a really good piece of advice for you is maybe to put up boundaries with your work as well. Or if you find yourself being exhausted all the time or feeling like no energy, lethargy, also maybe putting up some boundaries when it comes to your schedule so that you can get the proper amount of rest and so that you're not burnt out and so that you're not tired. I feel like for a lot of you guys, this is also maybe pouring some time into hobbies, maybe pouring some energy into things you want to do on your day off, or even redoing like your house and making it into a more comfortable place for you to live. So like I'm seeing especially maybe redoing like a bedroom or transforming it so that you can sleep better. For some of you guys, this could be not sleeping well. I don't know if that's been an energy that you've experienced already in 2024, but if it is, it may continue into the rest of the year. And I feel like it's almost like if you redo your bedroom, maybe move some things around, maybe do some feng shui, or just even just change some colors out, swap some furniture, swap some decor so that you can feel more comfortable there, then that may make it a more restful place. Or if it's really noisy around you, if it's really loud around you, this could be, you know, choosing to move into a different living situation so that it's going to be a little more quiet. It could even be choosing to move where you live in terms of the town you live in. Sometimes if someone is stuck in the same town and they're miserable and they just have, maybe sometimes, especially I think if you've experienced a lot of like trauma in one city, or you've just had a spate of bad luck in a city, or it just feels like the city is just, the energy is bad, like don't be afraid to move on. Don't be afraid to find somewhere else. It's not for everyone, and we don't need to pack up our stuff and move houses every time something disappointing happens. But I also feel like there's that message to like not be afraid. And if your heart and intuition is calling on you that you're ready for a change, you're ready to leave that behind, you're ready for a new challenge, then maybe not being afraid to do that. So for some of you guys, this could be a real change in your living situation. And I feel like whatever you do with that, it allows you to get more sleep. And that seems to be a focus or a need for you as we head into the rest of the year. I also feel like this is like possibly picking back up a hobby that some of you guys discarded, or learning a new hobby that maybe you never thought you would do. Maybe you've always been interested in like birds, but you were too kind of like embarrassed to go to like a bird watching club and join that, and now you finally do it. Or you have always been interested in pottery and you take a pottery class and you start doing pottery. I feel like you are spending, again, more time on yourself, more time on your hobbies, even maybe refining or making changes with your career. Like I feel like honestly, there's such a fed up energy around you, Pile 4. It just seems like there's so many situations that you're like done with, that you have kept trying to make work. You kept pouring your energy into them. You kept trying to put on like rose-colored glasses and just pretend like everything's fine and just continue on. And it really feels like things kind of come to a head for you throughout the rest of the year. And it's almost like if you're at a job, you just decide that you're done. You just decide that like, I can't do this anymore. Or if you're in a relationship, you decide that you can't tolerate this anymore. If you have friends that you don't really feel like you can trust, you might decide, I don't have room in my life for this. But it feels like whatever it is, you're very much more in an empowered energy for the rest of the year. And once things come to this head, there's almost like this big sense of relief and this extra space in your life to welcome in more things and to say goodbye to kind of like the drama and the stress, and to really focus more on yourself. This could even be doing more self-care, like doing a spa day or getting your haircut done so that it's something that you absolutely love. I feel like it's like you're not going to keep putting yourself on the back burner or doing things that don't really respect yourself to make other people happy. You are really going to be using your own energy for yourself instead of using it for others. Paying attention to those things that bring you happiness and you joy. So let's get into some of these cards for pile number 4 for the rest of 2024. Rest and relaxation. Okay. Woman holding a heart. Goddess of the moon. Strategy. The temple path. And door to personal health and happiness. So yeah, it definitely seems like you are in a healing energy, and also just in that more selfish energy where you are willing to stand up for yourself more. This almost gives me the vibe of like a mom that has like kids running around all the time and her husband doesn't really help a lot, and she finally puts her foot down and says like, hey, every Saturday I am taking my yoga certification and you're gonna have to look after the kids, or I'm doing a spa day, have fun, do whatever you want with the kids, but I'm going to be gone all day Sunday. Like, there is a very empowered energy of asking for what you need, stepping towards what you need, and realizing how important you are and how much you don't need to prioritize everyone else over you. And also that you're not a robot, pile number 4. You need rest. Like, you wouldn't continue to try to use your phone when it was on 0% power and it shut down. You wouldn't be like tapping away wondering why Instagram wasn't working while the screen is completely black. You would know like, oh, I need to charge it. And of course it would be out of power. Like, I've been using it for the past few hours and there hasn't been a charge. So it's out of power. You wouldn't blame that phone or expect it to somehow magically just find more energy and just randomly charge itself. So why would you do that to yourself? Why would you think that you can run around with no sleep, no rest, totally burnt out, and that you'll just be fine and you'll figure it out? Sometimes we can really do this to ourselves, like not prioritize sleep, just think that we're kind of like this machine that's just going to endlessly keep running. And it can be sometimes it can feel a little crazy to like take that step back and to admit that like, this isn't working. I need a break. I'm burnt out. I don't feel good. But that can be so necessary, and we can actually find ourselves having so much more energy at the end of it and find ourselves also more intuitive. I find when I'm like really running around with no sleep, it's very hard for me to, it's not always the worst. I think sometimes a little lack of sleep can actually be good for being psychic, because it's almost like being drunk where you don't filter yourself. You're just like, you just say what comes to mind. But I do find if I do that for too long, it can be hard to do readings. I mean, it can be hard to do anything in life if we're tired, right? So sometimes we're trying to access our intuition, but we're not giving ourselves that time to go to dream world, to sleep. I mean, when we're dreaming, we're actually visiting in the astral plane. So really, if we want to improve our psychic abilities, then we need to make sure we are allowing ourselves to spend time up there. We are kind of creating relationships on the astral plane, and we are visiting there regularly and really leaning into that. So I can see you guys for the rest of 2024 as well with this Temple Path card, also working on really refining your psychic abilities, becoming a lot more psychic and trusting that. I could see you guys getting like your Reiki certification, your yoga certification, becoming more psychic, maybe learning tarot more. I feel like there's certain hobbies, again, that I keep getting that you just have been putting off for the longest time. It's almost like you've wanted this so bad, but instead of actually leaning in towards it, you have just ignored this part of yourself, pushed it away, pushed it down, and just kind of randomly hoped that the urge would go away, the instinct to do this stuff would go away. And I feel like now you're going to admit that you really need to pour this into yourself, and that it's not really very respectful of yourself to keep putting yourself on the back burner and to keep pushing away your ambitions, your gifts, the things you want for yourself. So if you have been like writing as a hobby, you might start really taking it seriously and sign up to get your books self-published or published on Amazon, or you might send it out to a publisher. If you've been painting, you might start posting those on Instagram, posting your images on Instagram. I feel like it's like certain dreams you guys have put to the side to make others comfortable. This could even have to do with like your family of origin. Like, they might not be actively telling you, oh no, you can't do that. But if you know that like everyone in your family would be super embarrassed if you didn't become a lawyer and you became an actor instead, then they might not have to directly tell you, no, you can't go to acting school, because you're just gonna organically on your own avoid going to acting school, even if that's your biggest dream. And sometimes it can feel really scary to step away from those expectations that other people have from us, and from those dreams and goals that maybe they had for themselves or they wanted for us, and to admit that that's what we really want. But I am seeing you guys start to do that, having the bravery to ask for and to step towards the life that you want for yourself and that feels authentic to you, and not worrying so much about how others are going to receive it, how they're going to take it, what they have to say about it, and instead really thinking about the kind of life you want for yourself, your dreams, your ambitions, and how you're going to feel, because that's what matters. It's your life. You get one and only well, I think you get multiple lifetimes, of course, and that we incarnate through lots of different experiences, of course. But I really feel like for you guys, this is about taking that time seriously, not wasting it, not trying to keep the peace by making yourself smaller or trying to make someone else comfortable at your own expense. The theme of the rest of 2024 is seizing the day, seizing your own power, and realizing how valuable you are, and learning to stand up and advocate for yourself, learning to respect your own boundaries, and that what you're asking for is not crazy, it is not unreasonable, and you have every right to advocate for yourself and to ask for the things that you need pile for. And if someone can't do that for you, then that's time to say goodbye. So that is what I have for you, pile number 4. I really hope that resonates, guys. If you want to see more of my readings, then be sure to check out my Patreon. I have over 90 exclusive readings over there. I just posted a reading all about, do you know this person from a past lifetime? What is your soul connection, karmic connection with them? What is your story throughout other lifetimes? We get into all of that. Before that, I posted a reading about what people have realized about you, and there's also another recent reading all about your special person, when they're going to come in, how they're going to come in. So there's lots of juicy recent readings we have done, but like I said, you get access to over 90 exclusive readings, and you also get early and ad-free access to all my YouTube videos. So if that sounds good to you and you're interested in signing up, head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description and join me on Patreon. Also, if you guys would like to book a private session with me, you can do that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. You can sign up for a tarot reading, an astrology session, a channeling session, a combination of all 3. You can also get it pre-recorded or live. You get to really customize your session so it's exactly how you want it and exactly the kind of psychic reading that's going to make you happy. If that sounds good to you and you're interested in booking with me, head to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and the link for that is in my description. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will see you again very soon in another reading. Take care, guys. Bye.